Okay, Payback. Now, before I get started, I want to address what has happened now. I know I've already left messages for a couple of people in the comments saying I know what happened with CM Punk. Someone said it. I checked. It's true. There's no problem here. I am not going to speculate on anything. I know people say, well, the reports are out. This is what's going on. No. I'm going to wait a few days and look at the newer reports that come out, if any new reports come out. Because if you heard just Alex or you heard JD, there are two conflicting reports. Because it looked like just Alex didn't hear all of what was reported, and JD and Jesse did. Look, just Alex had a report where he said that this was all about what happened with Jungle Boy. That shows he didn't know the full story yet. But people are going to go with what he said as face value, that CM Punk is out due to the fact of what happened with Jungle Boy. Then JD and Jesse, they said their video. They done their live stream as well, just like just Alex. And they added on that pretty much Tony Khan almost got his face punched in by a CM Punk. Not saying he was. It's the reports are still coming in. You got two different reports. Now, some people are going to say that it's just Alex is correct, and JD and Jesse are. Now, they're both correct, but just Alex doesn't have the full story yet. He will probably make an update to his video. That's the reason why I'm waiting. You can leave more speculation down below, but I'm not going to tell you what my opinion is until I see more information that's going to come out and what I'm going to think of what he'll go next. I know someone's going to say, is he going to Impact? I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to say if he's going to Impact. I'm not going to say if he's going to MLW. I'm not going to say he's going to WWE. I'm not saying none of it. Period. I'm not going to say what's going to happen with TNT. I'm not going to say what's going to happen with Collision. I am leaving it until I get enough information in the next couple of days to form a hypothesis of my own. So until then, you're just going to have to wait for my Gump report. Now, excuse me. What did we get for Payback 2023? A good PLE, but it's missing something. And I know what it's missing. Roman Reigns. The bloodline. What I said in SmackDown still holds true here. What we got right now is emptiness. Roman Reigns is not on SmackDown right now. It was only Paulie. I think maybe I should wait until the end of this review to talk about this, because I want to make this a better picture. Okay, opening. We got a steel cage. I thought they were going to do this later in the show when it came to Becky and Trish Stratus, but they decided to open with it. Fine. Now, I don't think Trish has ever been in a steel cage before. As far as I know, she never has been. Now, Lita was, along with Victoria, I believe. And I want to say this. This was a okay to a good steel cage match for the women. The best steel cage match I've ever seen. I want to make this clear. Just in case someone says this is the best I've ever seen. No. For me personally, the best steel cage I've ever seen was in TNA 2011, Mickie James versus Tara, the former Victoria. That, as far as I could tell, was one of the greatest steel cage matches I've ever seen. Now, I've seen women in steel cage before, but I felt this one was one of the best I've ever seen. Honestly. When it comes to this steel cage, I'm not going to tell you that Trish did a bad job. She did not. I think this is the first time that she had to interact with someone in a cage, and she was doing a feeling out for it. And honestly, it shows. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. At least in the very beginnings. Later, it got better. And I want to make this clear. The very opening felt very Halfway into it, it felt better. When she felt a little more comfortable, she was willing to go to the top of the cage and do the moves with Becky. So you could see it. And almost, I'm sure a couple of motherfuckers were looking at her titties. There were a couple of times where her top almost looked like her nipples were going to spill out. They almost did. Now, mind you, it wasn't like I was staring at them, which I wouldn't mind doing it. But as a reviewer, I have to at least tell you what most of was going on. The 2 times she went to the top of the steel cage and had plummeted down, she did hold her chest in a certain way that almost showed whatever she got. Now, if I'm right, she had something holding that mess in place, but it was obvious that from those hits, she was a little disorientated and her body reflected it. But once Zoe Stark got into that ring, that is when we had the beginning and the end of the match. Now, Zoe tried to add to it, which she did, but it did feel like it was tacked on. In this situation, I felt like, and I know people are not going to totally agree with me, that it did help the match. Personally, I felt like it was a detriment to the match. Because it felt like since Trish has never been in the steel cage, I do believe this is the first time she ever did it, it showed they didn't have a lot of confidence in the match actually working out. Now, storyline-wise, it makes sense with Zoe to come into the match. And it did help it to a certain extent. But due to the fact that this was the first time an older wrestler who never had the opportunity to do what she did, it felt like they truly didn't trust her 100%. Becky, they didn't have a problem. Zoe, they didn't. But when it came to Trish, they did. That's the reason why it felt like it was tacked on. Now, when it was all over, and we know that Becky won, she leaves the ring, leaves the cage. Zoe is by Trish's side. Zoe is trying to consult Trish. She smacks her in the face. She smacks Trish Stratus in the face, which pisses her ass off. Well, I'm sorry. Trish Stratus smacking Zoe in the face. I got it backwards. I'm dyslexic. I'm sorry. When she smacked her, Zoe got pissed. And basically, she ended her days. That was done. But here's the thing. I do not believe this is the wisest place to do that. It would make sense to most people, but honestly, I do not believe it was necessary for them to separate yet. Because when it comes down to it, Zoe Stark did not get anything out of this yet. She was added to a storyline, but she didn't get what she needed to really gain anything yet. Now, most people would say, well, yes, she did. She helped Trish Stratus. She helped the Trish, and she lost. And Trish betrayed her, and then she nailed her. Yes, but then no. Because, honestly, this should have happened on Raw. I'm telling you right now, having it here at Payback did not feel like it was going to help her. Helping her on Raw, where this is the focus of a Zoe Stark, where Trish gets angry at her because she just can't get it done. Because after she lost here, they could have added more on top of it, where Zoe was doing her best, but it's really Trish who's having the problem. Zoe's still covering for her, but Trish is basically always getting angry at her. And then it could have happened on a Raw where finally she turns. Here, there was no turn. There was no really building up into it. It was just done, and that's it. And I think it was a waste. Now, let's go to the Cena segment with The Miz. Let me give it to you like this. When Cena came out as the host, and he said as the host he's got some perks, and he's going to be the special guest referee for LA Knight. And the Miz coming out and having that brief interaction with Cena, you can see these guys know each other very well. Now, not everyone's going to agree with me, but when you saw the promo between the two, they just felt like they haven't done it for a couple of years, but once they had a few minutes to really start doing it, they kind of fell back into how they used to be when John was still an active competitor. I'm telling you, when you see the very beginning, it felt a little choppy. But then as the promo went before the match, you can tell that Cena was here, Miz is here. Not saying Miz is better. It's just Miz is in the moment as he is just always wrestling. That's how his promos are. John is here. And it took him a couple of minutes to get back to where he would be if he was still wrestling. It took him a couple of minutes. I'd say about 2 minutes. But in the end, we get the match. Now, everyone was cheering their asses off for LA Knight. They love LA. Here's the problem. The match was not that great. Now, mind you, it was not a bad match. I want to make this clear to you guys. It was not a bad match. But there was a problem. I think it was due to the fact that, yes, Miz has always been known to be one of those safety type of wrestlers to get someone over. He can always easily get someone. Excuse me, I gas and a cough at the same time. That sucks. I belched and coughed at the same time. That's what that was. But when you see the Miz, he is a safety. You know that you're going to put someone like a star, you can put him with him, and they will get over. Sometimes talent can easily get over. But here it felt like it was something that was not 100% in sync between LA Knight and The Miz. It took a little time for them to get into it. Because the banter they had when they were talking was fine. But when you get them in the ring together, when they were now in this match, it was not a bad match. But it felt like they were not 100% in sync. And it showed. John was the one that's trying to keep it working. And yes, they did go up against John, getting pissed at John Cena because he wasn't counting fast enough for them. He was breaking them up. Stuff like that. But something was missing from it. I can't put my total finger on it. Were they a little out of sync? Did they have not 100% great chemistry? They got like 70-80% chemistry like most wrestlers. But they felt like there was something missing. Something was either being held back by maybe The Miz or LA Knight. No, LA, I think he was alright. And John was alright. But The Miz was off. No. I think it might have been The Miz and John that were a little off. John was playing around a little too much. And The Miz didn't feel like he was lined up really well in chemistry when it came to LA Knight 100%. You could feel it. There was something off. Yes, the fans were still cheering, and LA did get over. He got over by The Miz losing to him, and John Cena basically endorsing him, wanting to shake his hand. I don't think I got a shot if I do it to my face. I won't be putting that many images in here, because there wasn't that much in the show. But John put him over. That I liked. Now, I don't know if they're going to have a type of program or not, because we do know John Cena is staying for the next couple of months until the strike is over. Let's be honest. When that strike is over, John is done. He'll stay for the finish of whatever he did his agreement with. But once the strike is done, you're going to see John Cena scale back most of his schedule to make sure he doesn't get hurt. And then he's gone. That's the deal. Now, let's go to the U.S. title of Rey versus Austin Fury. Here's where there's a major problem that I felt. We got Rey Mysterio as the U.S. title holder. Love Rey. People love Rey. He goes up against Austin Fury again so he can make sure that this is settled. The match wasn't 100% trash. It was alright. Seeing a little bit more offense from Austin Fury was good. In the end, we know that Rey was going to win. There's no way Rey wasn't going to win. But let me ask you a question. What would you guys like to see? Rey Mysterio as SmackDown's current champion. Current champion. Guys, understand. There's only one title on the show, and that's the U.S. title. That's it. No Roman. So it felt lacking with Rey. Doesn't mean I hate Rey. I love me Rey. But I'm being honest here. Seeing that it's him and not a Roman brought the show down. It just did. Now, the Pittsburgh Steel City Street Fight. The tag champs versus a Finn and Damian Priest. Wasn't a bad street fight. I've seen better. Seeing that Dom came out to help, I'm not surprised. Seeing that Rhea speared a Kevin Owens out of his boots and letting her boobies bounce up all over the place. Now, mind you, I'm not being disrespectful to Rhea. Look, Rhea can wrestle her ass off. She speaks very well right now. She would twist me into a damn pretzel if I pissed her ass off. I know she would kick my ass here to Sunday and back to Monday again. But I'm not going to lie. Seeing her charge at Kevin Owens, spearing him out of his damn boots is damn sexy. And the boobs bouncing around makes it even more interesting. But it made sense. Judgment Day will not tolerate failure. So they had to do whatever it took to get those damn titles. Even JD McDonough interfered, and they did win. Now they got the Undisputed Tag Champs. They got the World Champ in Rhea Ripley. And now they have the, counting on how long this is going to last, the North American Championship. I still do believe that Dom will eventually drop that North American title and go after his father's title. I do believe that eventually will happen. I don't believe Ray is holding that title for no reason. I do believe that he is going to drop it to Dom. It is eventually going to happen. I don't know when, but I do believe that might happen. Now, Rhea's match with Raquel Rodriguez. Oh boy. She went from being in a good segment of the steel. She was in the street fight where she did some interaction where she looked good. And then she did this with Raquel, where it was botchy. I'm not going to tell you that it was good. I loved how her psychology of the match was. Rhea is the most dominant woman there. Let's make this clear. Who is the most dominant right now that is on TV? It's not Asuka. I'm sorry. It's not. Asuka is not the most dominant champion. Is it going to be Io Shirai or Sky? No. I see Io. I don't see a dominant champion. I see Rhea Ripley as the most dominant and well-booked champion at this moment. And the way she worked that match, where she was basically toying with Raquel, shoving her around, hammering her, showing that she's that dominant and enjoying it, even getting a bloody nose because of it, you could see how well built she's been in the last 3 years. She has built herself up to be the top star. Taking away what's going to happen with Charlotte Flair, because sooner or later we're going to have a situation with her. I care more about Rhea than almost any woman on the damn roster. There's only... Who is the woman that I care the most of next to Rhea Ripley? Currently, I don't really have anyone that I care about. Trinity's not there. The only person that comes close would be Bayley, because of how she's been booked in Damage Control. Becky, no. I'm not saying that Becky's bad. She's been booked very well, but you don't see Becky trying to get Io Shirai over or Dakota Kai. You get that with Bayley. So I see that as the only other person I care about. But here, it's only Rhea. There is no one else other than Charlotte who feels empty, and then Bianca, who really needs to turn heel. The match was not 100% trash, but it was obvious there was several botches in it. And when you saw at one point where it looks like Raquel was going to try and powerbomb, I don't even know if she was doing a powerbomb or she was trying to do a slam, but she lost her footing, and basically Rhea landed on the back of her neck at one point. It was sloppy. I'm not saying Raquel is totally bad. She's not. But those two are not 100% great together. They don't have very great chemistry. Doesn't mean their chemistry is total trash. But it was obvious tonight chemistry was not working right. In the end, Rhea did win. And I'm not surprised. She has to win. And Dom had to help out. But the question is now, who's next? Is it going to be Raquel again, which I don't think it should be? Is it going to be Alexa Bliss? I don't know when she's coming back. Eventually, she will come back, I think. How many months has it been since she gave birth? Or has she given birth yet? I don't remember if she's given birth yet. But eventually, Alexa Bliss should come back. But who's going to be? I don't even know. Liv Morgan? We've already seen Liv. Are we going to see anything from Chance Carter? Are we going to see anything from... I don't even know. Candice Ray? What? Chelsea Green? Who are we going to see that's going up against... Who? They got no one built up for Rhea Ripley. Nobody. Raquel was it. She's the most strongest person they got. And had been booked the most next to Liv Morgan. So the only other person you could do is either Liv Morgan, maybe a returning Alexa Bliss, or Charlotte Flair. I'm just saying. Now, let's get to what happened with Cody and the Grayson Waller effect. Cody asked to come on the Grayson Waller effect. He came on the Grayson Waller effect. They had this short banter where pretty much Cody's telling him, why are you trying to piss me off? Do you want to do what they always do, like in all the other shows, like a Piper's Pit, like a Cutting Edge, like a Kevin Owens show, or a Grayson Waller effect? There's always some type of problem, and I basically whoop your ass into these trees. And he said, no. I love these trees. No fight. Just say why you're here. And he says, well, I had an idea. I thought that something had to be done. That an unfairness had been committed. An atrocity had been committed. And I had to do something. And being who I am, counting on how much stroke and influence I had to do something. So I wanted to say that the newest member of Monday Night Raw is Jey Uso. And the crowd erupted loudly. Next to Cena, next to LA Knight, this was the loudest the crowd had been. The loudest, and I think this is the loudest they were through the entire night. When Jey appeared, they were so damn loud. You could pick it up. And he didn't say anything. Grayson Waller tried to mess with him and he got a super kick for his effort. That's what he got. So the key here is now. We now have Jey Uso on Monday Night Raw. And now we have Jimmy Uso on SmackDown with his younger brother, Solo, who I believe will team up. I'm saying it now. I don't need to say it for Raw. And I don't need to say it for next SmackDown. This is what I think they've done. They've done the Hardys. If you don't remember when it came to the Hardy Boys and Matt and Jeff, what they did was eventually they separated them. They gave them the opportunity to go off on their own. Matt Hardy version 1 and Jeff Hardy pretty much the thrill seeker. He went off on his own. You're going to see Jey by himself, which he's built himself enough that he looks strong enough that he can be his own character. And there's Jimmy, who is not ready yet, if he ever will be. So he will probably team up with Solo in the Bloodline, counting on how much of the Bloodline we're going to get, because we don't know when Roman's coming back. Yes, they'll say when he does the main shows or premium live events, but that's what we got. But this is what we got. It's going to be a question when he'll come back. Last match. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins, where the focus was story on Seth's back, where he legitimately has 2 fractures in his lower back. Now, I do not know about fractures. As far as I know, they never 100% heal. And they'll always stay fractured. That's as far as I understand. I could be wrong. You guys can tell me below. When it comes to a fracture in the back, you don't 100% heal. But he has 2 fractured bones in his back. And he's been like this for years, and that's what they focused on. Now, was it a bad story? No. Because Seth Rollins, knowing that Shinsuke knew, is worried. But He didn't like it when he brought up his daughter and his wife. So, this was the story. And here's the problem. Was that strong enough to be the... I'm trying to be objective here because when you saw the psychology of the match, it was focused on Seth's back. That's what it was all about. The commentary team talked about it in nauseum. Shinsuke made it the focus. One point, I think I got a shot of it. He's rubbing Seth's lower back when they first start the match just to show I know what's going on. My precious, I'm coming for you. In other words, how he's going to fuck up that back. That was the focus of the match. And the crowd did enjoy it. The crowd was behind it. And you know Seth won. There was no way to deny he was going to win. But here's the thing. And this leads me to what I put on the title. A good PLE, but it was something missing. And there is star power. Guys, as much as we had John Cena back, what did John Cena do? He was a ref for the Miz and LA Knight match. And then he was an interviewer for Priest and Finn. In a funny suit. I think I got it into my face. Guys, there is no star power on this show. There was none. John Cena was supposedly the most important person there. And as the host, he didn't feel like it. He felt lackluster. Yeah, he wasn't bad. And I liked seeing him. But we're talking about John Cena, who should be doing something more. He should be doing a feud with somebody. He should be putting someone over. He should be doing something more than just ref and then interviewing someone dressed like a goofball. Now, mind you, John Cena is a goofball. He's already admitted it. He's always been someone who's off the beaten drum. He's silly. But in this situation, we got a problem. Right now, as it stands, WWE is going back to what it was like, in 2013 or 14, when you did not have a champion on TV. It was Brock Lesnar. And they had to use the World Championship back then to try and fill in the blanks. Guys, all those years where we had a champion and then Brock Lesnar came in, took the damn title with him, and we wouldn't see the champion for months upon months, has come back, but now it's Roman Reigns. And due to the fact of this, the world champion has to pick up the slack. But how is he doing that? Yes, it's not 100% trash on Raw, but what do we got on SmackDown? We got Rey Mysterio as the U.S. champion. If they had left the IC title on SmackDown and the U.S. title on Raw, maybe it would be alright, because it has always been known the workhorse title had been that. But at this point, I don't feel shit of a star power at all. You just brought back John Cena. Unless he gets into a real feud where he can push it and truly suck the people in, I'm not feeling it. This show was missing something. Star power. Star power. I'm not feeling anything. But I won't say that no one didn't cheer for LA Knight. No one didn't cheer like crazy for Jey Uso. And no one didn't enjoy the last match. They did. It was a good PLE, like I said. But you're missing star power. You need something to draw people in. But this is just me. Peace.